Alright, welcome back to another video. Today is going to be part 2 of my electrical project here. Today I'm going to be wiring up the switch panel to the fuse block that I made in the last video. So as you can see, I prepared the area here. I took all the wire out, except I need to get that wire out of there, but all the wire that was hanging out of this old panel area is gone, and it's made way for the new panel. So today we're going to be wiring up from here to the switch panel. So here's the switch panel. I've shown this before. I'm going to be using this one here. It's got 2 USB ports on it, so I can charge my phone or I can charge a camera on it. It's got a voltmeter to show what my battery voltage is, and it also has a 12 volt charger there if I need that as well. And it's got 5 switches, which is cool. And it's going to be a blue color, so these, when you turn this on, this will illuminate in blue, and this here is going to be what's called a courtesy light, so it's going to show that there's power running to this thing. And the idea here, what I've been thinking based on videos I've been watching, so here's all the wiring on the back. I'm not going to have it like this. So you can see all these positives are daisy chained together, and then there's only one positive out. But what I'm going to do, because this panel does not have its own fuses in it, that's the whole reason why I need to have this system here. So the way that this is going to work is that I'm going to daisy chain these each from here to here together, and then there's going to be a wire coming out, and this positive wire from one of the switches is going to lead to one of the fuses that are present on this here. I'm going to take this off because I'm going to need to get to this thing here. Let me take it off so I can show you. So yeah, like I was saying, this one is pretty much already done here, the first switch, but this right here will go to, say, you know, this spot on the panel. And then the second one I'm going to wire up is its own daisy chain from here to here, and then there'll be another wire coming out which will go to the second one, and so on. And that's how I'm going to do the positives. So each of these 5 switches are going to have their own spot on the fuse block. And I think I'm going to leave the negatives for the switches. I'm going to leave this daisy chain here and have all the negatives go from these 5 switches go to this one right here. So I have 6 spots, as you can see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I think these 3 are going to be number 6. I'm going to just have them all go to 1 is kind of what my plan is. And then I'm probably going to need to step up the fuse on that particular spot, but I'm not going to have the negative daisy chain from there to there. I'm going to have its own separate negative for these 3 up here, because they are going to be probably drawing more power than these switches down here, given that most of the stuff I'm going to be running is LED lights, so I'm not going to be running high voltage stuff. But these 3 are going to be like charging my phone and stuff. The max draw is going to be, I think, 5 amps. Yeah, or 5 volts, 1 amp. So I'm going to need to take that into consideration when I'm putting in my fuse. But yeah, that's the plan. So now I need to get this underway here. I think what I'm going to do to start is to, I'm going to need to, I guess, cut this wire that goes to the cigarette lighter, cut that, and then I think I'm going to need to put a new spade connector here, because now there's only going to be 1 wire leading into this spade. So I think what I'm going to need to do is rewire that. And I've got my these are 14-16 gauge female spade connectors that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to show you guys this here too. Let's see. Yeah, I've got these 10-12 gauge spade connectors that I'm going to be using for these wires down here, because I'm going to have, from what I've seen on YouTube, I'm gonna have two 14 gauge wires combined together, so I'm gonna need a bigger spade connector. So that's the plan. Let me make some progress here and then I'll cut back in. Before I get started with this video, I'd like to add some clips here of me installing the components into their position here inside the battery compartment. So this first clip here, I showed that I found the right ring connector for the positive, and I put it on the positive stud on the fuse block, and now I'm gonna be installing this into the wall, or into the area there. So let's go ahead and get started on that. All right, check this out. It is installed. So I've got everything down here. Now we can actually start working on the wiring to the battery. I think that's what I'm gonna do next. But yeah, this is cool. So obviously, like, I'll lift the cushion, I can open this up, turn off and on the electronic system from a switch. I can, if this fuse happens to pop like that, I can reset it. And I can also change out my fuses really easily on this. So everything's just right here. Here's what it looks like on this side. I think it looks fine. So there's the two screws. I used this kind of nice looking washer that kind of makes the screw look pretty good. So that honestly does not look bad at all, in my opinion. So yeah, that's the status. Okay, another update. Check this out. So I've got the negative terminal and the wiring all done here, and the wiring is running to the stud on the negative part of the fuse block. So this whole area for now is done. The other thing I'm gonna do, like, obviously as I start putting in some more wires, we're gonna start filling out the fuse block. But with these wires, I'm actually planning on keeping everything really organized. So once I get the terminals put on, I'm actually probably gonna have some way to adhere these wires to the wall and then zip tie them, maybe like with one of those adhesive zip tie wire mounts. Just adhere it to the fiberglass and then zip tie these. And probably I'm gonna be keeping this somehow up on the ceiling like that, just like that. And that's how I'm gonna be keeping the wiring all organized. That's my plan, is that I really want this to be very organized and very easy to look at and just not a disaster. So all right, so I've taken all of the positives off. This is going to be the positive for the top three, and I still need to cut this one off of this daisy chain. But right now I'm cutting all of the positive wires off. So I'm actually going to be reusing these wires. Here, I'll show you how I'm doing this. So this was the daisy chain. What I do is I'll take my wire cutters and I'll just cut this off right here, like so. Cut the old spade connector off, and that leaves you with the wire. And I'm saving these. I'm gonna actually strip these back and reuse those. So yeah, and then I'm gonna throw away these old spade connectors, as I'm not gonna be using those anymore. They're not gonna be of any use to me. So that's what I'm doing right now. So yeah. So here's a little progress update. I've removed this negative wire, and then I put a new spade connector. The insulation, I think, is too big on this, so I think I might need to replace that insulation. But yeah, this is now on here. So all of these are daisy chained to here, and then the top ones have their own positive and negative. And now, right now I'm working on the positives, so I removed all the positives. Let me wait for this aircraft to pass here. This is my plan for positive wiring. So I'm using one of these, which came from originally from the switch panel. I've got a spade connector connected there, and on the other end I've got a piece of wire stripped back, and I've got some more wire here, and this is a larger amount of wire. So this is going to be connected to here, and this will connect to the switch panel, and then this wire is going to run back from the switch panel under here, and it'll come out there, and then it'll connect there. I'll show you what that looks like when we get to that spot, but what I need to do now is attach these two wires together. So what I'm going to do is just start twisting them together like this, so then they're connected. So yeah, that's how I did it. I combined them both together on a larger spade connector, and as you can see, they're not coming out. So the idea here, I've got my switch panel. I'm going to be connecting, let's see here. This side will be going here. So there we go, I fixed it. So that's how it's going to look. This is going to be wire out. So there we go. That's how I'm going to be doing all of them. So I'm just going to be repeating this for each one, and I'm going to try to measure out the same approximate wire. I think I did a little too long on this one, but I'd rather have too long than not long enough. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing for fitting out all of the rest of these. And yeah, so I'll cut back in when I get that done. All right, so I've got a little process going on here. I've completed 4 of them here. As you can see, the heat shrink is not perfect, but that doesn't matter. Let me just do that. As long as it's there, it's good, and as long as it'll prevent water from coming in. But as you can see, we've got 4 different wires, and they're approximately around 100 inches long. Oh, excuse me. They're about 100 inches long, so it should be more than enough to get to be what I need, but I'm just gonna cut off, obviously I'm gonna cut off the extra. All right, so the very first thing I do is the wire that came from the original setup. I'll grab one of these, and I'm going to go ahead and strip it back just a little bit. One thing I'll do too is just take one of these spade connectors that I'm going to be using, and I'll just kind of measure out how much wire I'll need to take out. So probably that much insulation. So then obviously this is a 14 gauge wire, so I'm going to use the 14 gauge stripper. I'm going to go ahead and make my cut into the insulation and pull back here. Sometimes with this stripper, it's kind of difficult. I kind of want to get one of those that have really nice, you just clamp it down and then it strips it off. But I'll get one of those in the future. As you can see, sometimes it's not perfect. A little bit of wire came out more, so I'm just gonna cut that back like this. All right, so that's how much we have. I probably need a little tiny bit more, so what I'll do is maybe grab just about that much more insulation. So that's what the wire is going to look like. The next thing I'll do is kind of twist it up here, so all the wires are connected together. Then I'm going to take one of my spade connectors and go ahead and connect it up here. Then I'll look inside to see, yep, it looks good. So take one of these, go like that, and then I'll take the, you can see the 1614 crimp, because that's the one I'm going to be using here for this. And you can see it's in blue there, which tells you that the blue spade connectors or any connectors are the ones you're going to use. And then I'm going to go ahead and make my crimp here. I don't want to have the wire come out at all, so go like this, crimp it down, and then I'm going to check my connection here. I felt a tad bit of movement, so I'm going to crimp down a little bit harder just to make sure that there's absolutely no movement there. There we go. No movement at all that I can feel. The wire comes all the way down to the end of its fitting there. Good. So then I'm gonna take one of my insulations and run it up the other wire end here. And kind of figure out if I need to cut any. Yeah, I probably need to cut out like that much. So I'm gonna take this, cut it away. Put this like so. And then next I'm going to go ahead and move on over to my heat gun, which is on this side. And I'm going to go ahead and get this heat shrink adhered here. Make sure that everything's in frame. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and hold this. Go all the way around your wire here. There we go. You can see that there. It's all adhered down. So we'll come back onto this side, and I'm going to be stripping a little bit of the wire away on this side as well. All right, so there we go. You can see that we've stripped a little away. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out how much length of wire I need for this portion. So I've got this little setup over here. I'm going to show you guys this. So I kind of designed this little redneck thing here. I just laid out a tape measure. It's about like 104 inches or so. I'm going to lay some wire out and then cut it at this point. I've got my tools holding it down there, but there's one end. I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna make the cut right there. So let me set this up here. Let's cut this right about here. All right, nice. Make sure that doesn't go in the water. So yeah, let's head back to the work area. All right, I've got my wire here. I'm gonna take one end. I'm gonna strip it back approximately the same distance as that, and then next up after that I'm going to combine them together and put the spade connector on. So let me cut this, show you guys what that looks like. All right, nice. So I'm going to take these and I will, the little one, I'm going to go like that, and then I'm going to go ahead and once these are touching, if I can ever get it to get situated here, I'm gonna go ahead and twist them together like so. And this part I spend a decent amount of time in because I do not want there to be some kind of problem. So I spend a little bit of time making sure that all these wires are connected together here. All right, so once that's complete, I'm now going to take my, let me get it open here. I'm going to take my 12 gauge spade connector, because that'll fit these two wires together. So I learned that on a video. I need to use a bigger one, obviously, because the two wires together are going to make a bigger wire, probably a 12 gauge or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and take this like that. I'm going to screw it a little bit, look inside and verify that it looks good. And then I'm going to go ahead and use my 1210 crimp, the bottom one, and I'm gonna crimp this together like so. Of course, I'm gonna do a tug test, make sure that there's no movement at all, and there's no movement. So there you go, it's all crimped together. I'm gonna slap a heat shrink on this. Okay, so look at that, there we go. Everything's all shrunk together. So the last thing I need to do is connect it to the switch panel. What I'll do is take the blue one and plug it into the courtesy light pin. And then I'll take this one, which has the two wires, route it around and connect it to the main power for the pin, the main power for the switch. So I'll go ahead and get that connected down. So there we go. So I have got all 5 of my switches wired up properly, with each switch having its own dedicated wire that goes to the fuse block, in which now I can finally control the ultimately the fuse for each switch. So now the next thing I need to do is actually start getting these wired up into the boat and get it all wired up into the fuse and stuff. So that's the next stage of the process here. All right, so here is a little progress update. I've got the new switch panel just kind of dangling here. I've kind of figured out how I want to have these switches. So this first switch here, this is going to be probably the running lights, and then these are going to be the cabin lights, and then the last 3 are going to be switches that I'm not too sure what they'll be yet, but I've got 3 other switches which will be cool. Then I can think of something really cool to wire up, maybe some outdoor lights, probably some kind of anchor light of some kind I'm gonna wire up too. So there's plenty of ideas, but now I put this through there in the back, and then if we go under here, this is where it comes out of, up there, and this hole right here, I'm gonna put some wire under there so you can see all the wiring is going to be going into this hole right here. And on the other side of this, I'm going to fit just a little bit of it through there. And if I come down to the battery area, you can see that's where that is. So you can kind of now get an idea of how this wiring will be routed. I'm going to try to keep it, somehow I'm gonna find a way to attach it kind of more up there without trying to drill anything. But I'm probably gonna put this one right here. This will be the first one. So let me get this figured out here and get it wired up. I might do a couple of these today and then start working on more of it next time. So I don't know if you can even see me there, but yeah. Anyways, let's get this show on the road. All right, first one down, and we're gonna have eventually 6 on here, but we've got the 5 switches plus the one for the voltmeter and the 2 charging ports. That'll go to its own switch on here, so 6 total. So now I'm gonna keep working here and give you guys a progress update. Okay, so here is a little progress update here. I've got all 5 positive wires wired up on the switch panel. So the switch panel, yep, there it is. And all 5 of the switch wires are wired up. I'm gonna do the negative for the switches and also the positive and negative for these 3 at a later time. But for now, yeah, so here's how it works. The wires go back there. There's a little slot where I can slip wire through behind there. And then underneath the bench here outside, it comes out from up there, and then it goes into a hole that has already been there before, like when the previous wire was in. And then, let me show you. Underneath this bench here where the battery area is, there is where the wire comes through. And then you can see I've got all 5 positives wired up to the, all connected up to this fuse box here. So yeah, I'll tell you guys also the way that I'm going to be organizing this wire is I decided to get one of those, you know, those adhesive mounted zip tie wire things where you like adhere it to a wall and then you can zip tie a bunch of wire to it. But I'm gonna do it up here, so you won't even be able to see the wire. And this should be really cool, and it should be really well organized. Same thing goes with under here. In this area, I'm gonna have the zip tie things along that back wall there, kind of where all those wires are at now. But I'm not gonna do this area yet because I still have, you know, I might end up doing that because I'm thinking of having a second one like next to the black or next to the red, and it's the black wire for the negative, and it's on its own separate thing, not bundled up with the positives. I think that'll make it more organized as well. So I think that's also something I'll be doing. And yeah, I'm exhausted. I need to drink some water, but I think that's gonna do it for this video. So we got the switch started. Next time I'm gonna be doing the negative for the switch and also wiring up the 3 other parts to this panel. And then once those are wired up, I can actually test the system. Kind of. I don't have anything hooked up to it, but I can test the switch panel to see if all the lights light up on it and stuff, and just see how everything's going. If something's not working, then I'm gonna have to do some troubleshooting. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I've got to clean everything up here because it's just a disaster. But yeah, the wiring project right now is going very smoothly, and I'm very happy with it, and it should be very, very organized for any previous any new owner, and also for me as well, so I can really understand what's going on for, you know, troubleshooting purposes or whatever. So yeah, that'll do it for this video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.